Okay, hi. I just want to make a video to educate you about import and export to Nigeria, especially when it relates to agriculture. Somebody actually asked me a very serious question. It said, why can't we export things out of the country to Europe, America? Why can't we export our food? We want to produce food and we want to be able to export it. Okay. Very good question. There are two answers to that. The first one is Nigeria doesn't produce enough food to be able to export it. Forget about what the politicians are telling you. Somebody can tell you, oh, they want to start exporting potatoes out of the country. They will tell you that there is a factory in Benue State. Very soon they will start exporting rice out of the country. The food shortage in Nigeria is so rampant that if Nigeria should massively start producing food today, in the next 10 years, Nigeria can still not export food out of the country. Because right now, Nigeria spends over $22 billion. Okay? Calculate it, times it by, 365 naira, and you will get the amount of naira Nigeria actually spend importing food. So, for you to be able to export food to another country, you first of all have to produce enough for your people to eat. Then you start exporting it. Nigeria doesn't produce enough food, so we cannot export. Secondly, there are some items we can export, like that are very scarce on the other side of the world, or there are things that we can export that they cannot produce in the other part of the world. So therefore, we have the right to export these things. And sometimes some of these things we don't make use of it enough in Nigeria. I'll give you an example. If you look at, a few days ago, I showed you guys alligator pepper. The alligator pepper is used by some beer companies in the world to put spices in beer. And it's also used as exotic spices. But if you want to export alligator pepper out of the country, by the way, it's very expensive. An alligator pepper you will buy in Nigeria for 10,000 naira. We sell in Europe or America for like 100. How much is that? It's about $200. So it's very expensive. I've done it myself. It's very expensive. However, there's a caveat to it. Not only that we don't produce enough of it, because if you want to buy source alligator pepper in Nigeria right now, you won't be able to get up to 500 kilograms of alligator pepper. Whereas if you go to Ivory Coast and you want to buy 10 container loads of alligator pepper seed, somebody will actually be able to give it to you in Ivory Coast. Okay? That's the difference. Then the other thing is that we cannot export our food to the Western world because they don't allow us to bring the food into their countries. So the politicians will tell you, oh, these white people, they stop us from progressing, they stop us from getting our food into their country. That's not true. The truth is, every Western country has rules and regulations also for food. Like, let's give you a simple example. If you look at this, everybody know what this is, okay? It's an electricity device. This is from China, okay? And in Nigeria you have it too. This will work for like the next 50 years. This is the one Chinese bring to Europe, and they bring it to America as well. But these ones, they are made specially, and they have to meet to the European standard. Okay, each of these device has the CE mark on it, which means that it adheres to the standard set aside by the European Commission. So it will never go on fire. It will never burn. There's nothing happens to it. Really, honestly, this thing will last for 100 years. Okay, you can buy the same in Nigeria. Sometime in Nigeria, you will pay more for it because this one I bought it for, €1.50. Okay, so in Nigeria, you might end up paying the same value for it, but the one in Nigeria, once you get home, you plug it in, magic will start happening. Fire might come out, some other crazy things might come out of it. Okay, it will burn. It won't last long. Now, why is that so? Because our people, they go to China and they ask the Chinese to make for them the bad ones. And the Chinaman, to make a bad one of this is very simple. The molds to make it is already there, but what you just have to do is put in inferior material. Or this plastic, you mix it, instead of mixing it, it's like when you mold block in Nigeria. You can mold block with, say 2 wheelbarrows to 1 bag of cement, or you put 10 wheelbarrows of sand with 1 bag of cement. You see, if somebody look at the blocks, you see blocks lining up, but one set is stronger than the other. So that's how this is. So in Europe, we have the CE, mark. All products that come from all over the world to Europe must meet to that standard. Otherwise, they will burn the container, just destroy it. In Nigeria, we have the SON, the SON, the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Basically, the SON doesn't do anything. The only thing, they do something. They collect bribes. They make the life of importers difficult. But the job of actually regulating what comes into Nigeria is not being done. It's just a shamble. So therefore, all the bad products in Nigeria goes through the SON. People who import these products actually have certificate from the SON that their products are certified good. So that's how the system works. People just use the opportunity to collect money from importers. So anytime you buy a bad product in the market, don't just blame the guy who is importing them. But there is a standard organization in Nigeria that is not doing its job at all. That is the culprit. That is the SON. Okay, so now let's go to the other side, food. So we said, we want to export food to Europe because yes, honestly, there are food you will export, you will make a lot of money. For example, black eye beans. The one we use to make momo in Nigeria, and akara. Because we have a lot of Nigerians overseas, they like to buy this stuff. Not only Nigerians, but it's a standard food, both for Europeans, people from North America, South America. People love these beans. So Nigeria is a good producer of these beans, although we don't produce enough of it, but we produce the beans. But the European Union don't want to have our beans. Why don't they want to have our beans? Because when Nigerians bring the beans here in a container, okay, what you will find inside is weevils, little black creatures walking around. If you go and buy beans in the market, you see it, all weevils, And by the time you leave those weevils in the bag for so long, for the time they take to travel to Europe, when you open the bag, it will just be filled of those weevils. And Europeans don't like weevils at all, especially in food, because a lot of, people just hate it. So therefore, the Europeans said to the Nigerians, look, we don't want to have this rubbish anymore, so we want you to prepare it properly, make sure there is no cage animals inside, little bugs inside. So the Nigerian man go back home and decide to take a shortcut. So what does he do? He gets soak the beans in a gamalin. Gamalin is a very bad chemical. If he doesn't do that, he will use the TNT or some of these very dangerous chemicals. Soak it and mix it in water and spray the beans with it. Those chemicals will kill the weevils. Okay, but we contaminate the food. When I was in Nigeria, I discovered that people were using aluminum sulfate. And I was shocked because aluminum sulfate is a very dangerous chemical. Now, I discovered that they were spraying it on beans to preserve the beans. Because, if you spray aluminum sulfate on anything, Every living creature that is on it will die. So what's the best way to kill living creatures, bugs in food in Nigeria? You just spray aluminum sulfate on it. Now, this aluminum sulfate is one of the most dangerous elements in the world. If it gets into your body, it's very difficult to get rid of. So the Nigerian man carried these beans, bring it back to Europe with gamale inside, with aluminum sulfate inside and everything. The white man look at it and say, whoa, this is going to kill our people, so we don't want to have this anymore. So burn the container. After several warnings, then the European Commission then say, okay, look, we are going to ban the importation of this stuff from Nigeria. Number one, that is why Nigeria cocoa cannot be exported to Europe, cannot be exported to America, because the Americans don't want to have it. Today, the price of cocoa is skyrocketing in the world, and there is so much money to be made from cocoa, but Nigerian cocoa is not allowed into the EU, it's not allowed into the United States because it is full of chemicals, it is rubbish. In Nigeria, every farmer today, if you see a farmer in Nigeria, how do you know it's a farmer? He has this, knapsack that he spray with. Everybody has it. Have this spray can on and they spray everything that moves. They spray grass, spray everything. If you go to other countries, you hardly see somebody spraying stuff. All this stuff they are spraying in Nigeria, they are from China, for God's sake, or from India. These guys know that Nigerians don't follow the rules, so they ship the most ridiculous chemicals you can think of that are outlawed in Europe and America. They ship them to Nigeria. So the Nigerians now take these ridiculous chemicals and spray everything that is moving in their farm, including themselves. Very dangerous. They kill all the bees. That's why we don't have bees to pollinate our crop. So now, once you get this stuff, when you grow it, you bring it to Europe. European man look at it. He can detect the amount of herbicide you use to spray. He can detect the amount of a pesticide that you use when that crop was being grown. And there is a level, the level of tolerance set aside by the EU and the United States is so low that before, they don't want their people to be exposed to a higher level at all. So the level of herbicide that you are allowed to have in your food is so low that Nigerian farmers cannot meet to the condition. So now, instead of the government to say, okay, look, let's do something to ensure that we are meeting to the standard. Let's first of all understand the standard of the European government and the Americans to say, okay, look, how do we meet this standard? Train people. Europeans are willing to train people for them, but there is no cut for them. So there's nothing for them, no incentive for them to send people to be trained. Number two, they don't organize their own, system properly. Now, to make sure that the farmers understand that you cannot spray all you want on your crops because it's killing Nigerians as well. What do you see? When I was a kid in Nigeria, we didn't have cancer. Okay, now you hear this one die of cancer, the other one die of cancer. Why? Because the food Nigerians eat is getting more contaminated every day. When, last time I was in Nigeria, we spent a long time in Nigeria. We stopped eating plantain because of some, crazy stuff they used to ripen plantain in Nigeria. You get shocked from it. When we wanted to eat plantain, we bought unripe plantain when we started, getting plantain from our farm, we just eat the one from our farms. Okay? Then, when you have pineapple, it's the same thing. Your stuff they use to ripen pineapple, that is totally not up to the standards set aside by even the World Health Organization. So, today when you are in Nigeria, what Nigerians are pumping to themselves is constant chemicals, and all these chemicals is making people sick. And they are very bad, mean chemicals. But the ordinary citizens don't understand this. And the government is supposed to be helping the citizens to understand it doesn't understand it. So the government is saying to the people, yeah, the white man doesn't want you to, export something to his country. But that's not true. You got to prepare it properly. So I have an example here. This is beans from Peru. Okay? See how well packaged it is? These beans, there is nothing broken inside. There's no debris inside. In fact, when you want to cook it, you don't have to wash it. You don't need to wash it because it's already washed. It is clean. There's no sand in it. There's no dust in it. Because if there was dust in it, the European Union won't allow it in. Okay? So that is how they want the food to be packaged. And when you bring it, you see the description of what is in it. Okay? The value of the food, everything has to be prescribed, So you see, everything has to be precise. Okay? Now that is that. So I asked myself, I said, look, if Nigerians, we have so many Nigerians overseas, why are we not supplying them melon soup in a can or melon soup in a bottle? Like this is how the Indians bring their food to Europe. Okay, this is how different cultures bring their food to Europe. So why can't Nigeria produce melon soup, ogbolo soup, and a dikaiko soup or ugu soup and bring it to Europe like this? If you bring this to Europe, bring it to America, they will buy it from you. But the problem is, Nigeria doesn't have the capacity to do it. Really, this bottle, literally this costs 65 cents, 65 euro cent. Okay, 65 euro cent is under 150 naira. This bottle alone, if you want to produce it in Nigeria and bring it to Europe, this bottle will cost you already more than 65 cents to buy in Nigeria before you come and put the stuff inside. So you have no NEPA to produce the food. And by the way, by the time you finish producing the food, the tomatoes came from very far away from the north before they get to where you were. The food is already rotten. So once the white man open it, put some, test it, and say, it's full of chemicals, full of dead weevils, full of that, so they don't let you bring it in. That's one of the reasons why you cannot bring that in. Okay? The same thing goes, this is pepper. This is dried pepper, This is dried pepper. Okay, very expensive pepper here. This is what Nigerians could be selling here. But you see this pepper is dried and chucked. Okay? Now, if you want to bring this in, this pepper has been like this for the past 2 years. Nothing goes wrong with it because it's well dried. There is a minimal amount of moisture you may have inside the pepper. Okay? If you do it like this, again, the pepper itself must not contain herbicide, must not contain crazy stuff. If it contains crazy stuff, again, you cannot bring into this country, into European country or American country, so you will make money. Okay? Now, one of the biggest problems in Nigeria, I'm going to show you, is this. We cannot compete in the world market. This is beans. This is red beans. This is one of my favorites from Tesco's. These beans cost 15 cents. 15 cents. Okay? It's under 100 naira. Okay? You cannot buy these beans. These beans, they sell this type of beans in Nigeria for over 200 naira, 250 naira. But here is, even when you should use naira to buy it here, it's just under 100 naira. Okay, they are more expensive beans, but I like buying this. I like this one. Now, how is Nigeria going to produce beans that is sold in a shop for 15 cents? I bought it for 15 cents. The shop, somebody brought it, canned it, paid taxes on it. A trailer carried it, distributed it through all the shops, And at the end of the day, I still paid that small amount of money for it. Now, Nigeria cannot do that. Nigeria can never compete in the world market. That's a major problem. So, next time when you ask yourself, when you are thinking or somebody is trying to sell you online stories on how you can make millions exporting things to the Western world and blah, 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 you know, it is not true. At least today, it is extremely difficult. The only way Nigerians can export things today is, one, to smuggle it out in small quantities. But there are a lot of things you cannot smuggle out. So therefore, you need to follow the rules. So one of the things that our organization is trying to do is to outline these rules, and the members have to follow the rules and understand the principles of exporting things to various countries. So if we have a large farm of exportable items, then we can then call the European Union and say, you know, send somebody to our farm to investigate the farm. So, and do the test so that once it is certified that our produce meets the European standard, then we can now freely package them, then seal it in a container, and then ship it out of the country to the country that is, designated, the goods are designated to go. So that is why I keep saying that because our government is ineptitude, our government doesn't do anything. The organizations that are put in place there to help with all these things, they don't do it. So therefore, the citizens have to take over this task themselves. And, you know, European governments, United States government, you know, they are a World Health Organization, they are willing to work with, you know, NGOs, organizations together to make things happen. Okay, but not with individuals. They might work with big organizations like Dangote and all these big guys, but not individual person. You and the other guy in in Akure that is doing 3 tons of maize. No, it doesn't work. Okay, so people, you know, and by the way, food matters supposed to be arranged by NAFDAC. NAFDAC is the organization that is in charge of food. But again, there's one organization that we have in Nigeria that is collecting money from people, making the life of business people miserable, and the job that has to be done is not being done. Again, either they don't know what they're doing, or they just don't want to do it. But that's the problem we have in Nigeria, and all this problem is mitigating against progress. It's making, so because we don't produce enough food, we cannot export food, we cannot make foreign currency, we cannot develop the country, we cannot employ people to work for us. So therefore, you know, poverty keeps reigning. It is we are living in the circle of poverty. So, you know, I make this video so that people can start understanding why the situation is like this. It is man-made. Human being created it. Nigerians are creating this problem. You know, and until people start understanding how the problems originated and how they are being propagated, we cannot even start by trying to solve these things. It is, for people who have not traveled out of Nigeria before, who have not been exposed, they think, oh, this is how, life is. But that's not true. Because in other parts of the world, life can be very, very sweet. Life can be very, very interesting. You know, since I left Nigeria, I've, been in a place with 24 hours electricity daily. My broadband works all the time. There's no reason why I have to complain because I have what I need. Life could be like that in Nigeria. But the problem is that most people who are assigned to do their job, they see it as a way of making money. And therefore, they don't do the job, they take a shortcut. Now, because everybody is taking shortcut, it has a way of affecting everybody negatively. Nobody's actually getting better. Somebody will take a shortcut and go and buy, after some time, will go and buy a very expensive car. Okay, where is he driving the car? On the bad road. The guy who was supposed to fix the road took a shortcut, put the money in his pocket, so he didn't fix the road. So now, and so you get what I mean. So guys, that is how it is. We don't want to deviate to another subject, but if you want to learn how to export things, you need to join us in an organization, and we can teach you a lot of stuff which can make you a very, very wealthy person one day. Thank you very much.